And that's why we did it. That's why we created our little company that we call Keadle. What we wanted to do was create a social network that actually got people off their butts to explore their city. And the way we did this is we created a draconian restriction in our social network. The only way to see any post is to actually be at the place it was posted. And what that does is it turns the social network about the social experience. It makes it about the place you're at, the people you are with. If you wanted to leave someone a private message, they'd actually have to come down here to get that private message. In fact, you could leave private messages all over the city and force them to go to different places in the city to see what you want to tell them. But mostly what it does is it takes something that was passive and turns it into something active. And I forgot to go through all the slides, so here's a bunch of stuff it does. All right, now today I want to talk about something completely different. I want to talk about the actual process of creation, because I think I have found a key component to everything that is awesome. Whether it is technology or friendship or art, there is one key component, and it comes down to being able to answer this very simple question. Are you a squirrel or are you an acorn? When Shigeru Miyamoto created Zelda, he thought back to his childhood in the forests of Kyoto. He was afraid of the forest, but he made it a goal to venture further and further in every time he visited. And one time he realized he was miles into the wilderness, and as he was walking back, he started to smile. And then he started to laugh, because he was looking at everything that he was afraid of and asking himself, why was he so afraid? He saw how much he had grown. And that's why in Zelda, you always start off on that home screen. He wanted you to re-experience those initial levels again and again as you grew and got stronger, so you could see that there was no reason to be afraid. And the thing about The Legend of Zelda is, I never felt like I was wasting time when I was playing this game. In fact, when I was done, I wanted to explore my neighborhood. I wanted to play with friends. And one need only look at the art and creation that has come out of this game to realize it's an active experience. And it's funny because Steven Spielberg has a very similar story, except it was the deserts of Phoenix. He would run around the old military bases right after the war and see the perspective of war from a child, and he brought that childlike perspective to every movie he made. We're the children, the aliens are the parents. And if you notice, the Frenchman was played by Francis Truffaut, who was the famous French New Wave director of the 400 Blows, another guy who studied childhood. He followed the same actor for many, many years so the actor would grow up with his movies. And most importantly, I want you to look at their faces and eyes. I can tell you, they are as excited to be making this movie as we are to be watching it. They are as excited about the process as we are about the final product. And people say we can't make these movies anymore. People say that we're too sophisticated. They say that it's CGI. But I think it was proven to us last year that it is not CGI. It can still be done. And again, I want you to look at their faces. And I want you to look at their eyes, especially in this movie, because it's the only real thing on screen. Everything else is CGI. And I worked in this industry for 14 years, and I can tell you no one's that good of an actor. They are as excited about the process as we are about the final product. They're like children playing. They're playing. And you see, we live in this age of confidence, where everyone says, just be confident. So confidence is all you need. Yet I worked in comedy for a long time, and you ever notice everyone thinks they're funny except for comedians? You know, Steven Spielberg says he's scared to death every single day on set. Everyone says it's about confidence, and I say it's about humility. I say it's about looking at the world with this awe and wonderment. I want to see a burning building and know that the flames may hurt me. They may even kill me, but I want to run in there anyways because it's the right thing to do. And the only way you can have this perspective on life is if you can answer this basic question. Are you a squirrel or are you an acorn? And this is the question we are trying to answer at Keadle. And I don't know when the quest started, but it may have started with Donkey Kong. When I get anxiety, I play Donkey Kong, and my local barcade where I play at, they reset the scores every night, which really pisses me off. So I started posting a post on Keadle in front of the Donkey Kong machine every night so I could have a record and everyone else could see how awesome I am at Donkey Kong. And this got me thinking about things that are temporal. And it got me thinking about the city of LA and the gentrification that's going on in LA. And that's a very interesting word because gentrification is both a good thing and a bad thing. It just has to be handled right. And then it made me think about street art. And you see, street art's this amazing form of art because it's created knowing it will be destroyed. It's temporal art. And then that got me thinking of my dear friend Ray Vargas, who is a phenomenal artist in Boyle Heights, a neighborhood that is going through gentrification right now, and a neighborhood that is famous for murals. So I went out with him, and he told me he believes in temporal art, and he believes that art should actually be disposable. And he says out of disposable art, what happens is it causes you to create more. Out of destruction causes creation. He also said that he always sells his art, even if it's for $1. If he can't sell for 100, then he'll sell it for 50. If he can't sell for 50, he'll sell it for 20. If he can't sell it for 20, give it $1. And the reason being is that gets the art out of his studio and forces him to create more art. So then I was like, okay, well, here's something that's temporal. What about something that's not temporal that I hate? And I don't know if anyone in here is a hiker or a peak bagger, but at the top of any named summit is this little box, and you sign in to say that you summited the peak. And I think it's the stupidest thing ever. I refuse to sign them because no one ever looks at them, no one ever cares. But you know what I would look at? I would look at pictures of people on the tops of the peak. So now whenever I summit a peak, I take a picture. If I'm with friends, we take pictures and we drop it there, and we can see, people will be able to see who's been there and who's not. And then I was like, okay, well, Keadle is now taking away something that exists. What can we accent something? And something I have been obsessed with lately are confessions. So what I did is I made these little boxes. I call them Keadle confessionals. And I put them all over LA. And what you can do is you can anonymously write something about your life that you're not proud of. You can put it in the box, and then people can use Keadle, and they can basically give you advice on it. And then that led me to thinking about graveyards. Because when I was a kid, we would go on trips, and we would always pack our lunch, and we'd eat in graveyards. And I was always a very fast eater. So I'd just walk around the tombstones and make up stories for all the people who died. And I was like, well, maybe Keadle could allow us not to make up the stories anymore. So I went to my very dear friend Mike's grave. Mike was one of the most loyal friends I had. He was a very good friend. And after high school, he took a wrong turn. He got into drugs and then became a drug addict and then a drug dealer. And he actually died in a shootout with the police. So I went to his grave, and I just dropped a little post there telling people the story. And it was nice. It was a nice thing to do. Are you an acorn, or are you a squirrel? See, before Keadle existed, before I talked to Jay, my co-founder, a friend of mine asked me why I wanted to create this business. And I said, I want to discover if I'm an acorn or a squirrel. And he was like, oh, okay, whatever that is. And I was like, no, you see, because the acorns are the creators. They're the artists, and they're the teachers, and they drop these little acorns all over the place. And the squirrels are the adventurers and the entrepreneurs, and they search out the acorns, and they both feed off of each other. Now, if anyone was here at the last Mindshare, you know we recently went into beta with Keadle, and it's been really tough. In fact, I feel like we've been failing, and we're having to figure everything out. I've been waking up in cold sweats, figuring out why people are not using the program the way we are. When we explain it, they get it. And then when we get it in their hands, they're not using it. And then we realize it's because we forgot about this core question. Are you an acorn or are you a squirrel? In short, we forgot you have to make it fun. So we started thinking, how can we make Keadle playful? How can we be like children? Now, you remember when you were a kid, and you would venture out. I used to sneak out of my house all the time, and I'd go out late at night, 3 in the morning. I'd go 2 streets over, and I'd be underneath that the lights, and I'd feel like I was in my own world, feel like I was king of the world. The world was my horse. We lost that as adults. Maybe it's technology, maybe it's adults. I don't know, but we've lost that, and I don't know why we've lost that. But our goal now is to bring that back. And I think it's a manner of making it playful, about play. I keep coming back to this word play, because play is like a natural human condition. So what we started thinking about was we started thinking about video games. We started thinking about games like League of Legends and Warcraft. And all these games have something in there called the fog of war, where you can slowly uncover the area. And you're like, well, what if we bring the fog of war to Keadle? It completely changes the dynamic of Keadle. You could actually see where you've been and where you're going, where you need to be, and start exploring your city in that way. And now I think this is a great idea, and this has completely changed the direction of certain things in our UI in the past couple weeks. But the problem with this right here is these are just Photoshop mockups. They don't exist. They haven't been programmed yet, and I want to play now. We have this program. I want to play now. So what we did is we created the Keadle Adventure Pass, and what this is basically a social challenge that can be used in conjunction with our app. And we just did this a few weeks ago, and me and a few friends went out, and the very first one he opened was to open 2 Tops 88 wax packs with a complete stranger. And this went swimmingly well. So basically, we liked this so much that we started giving them out to other strangers, and we started meeting up with old high school friends, and there were just Tops 88 baseball cards everywhere. We'd go to people's houses, if they weren't there, we would just leave it there. And this culminated in us going to the Golf Land, which is where Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was filmed. So I dropped a Keadle there, and then I snuck into the award area and threw some Tops 88s in there. And we started calling all our friends and created this mini high school reunion, and we're all sitting there at the bar, and then I started getting anxiety because I'm like, wait, what is this? Has nothing to do with Keadle. I was supposed to go out and play with Keadle. And a friend of mine who was drunk at the time, and in his drunken wisdom said something both profound and stupid. He told me, but isn't this why you made Keadle? And he was right. I was so far away from Keadle, but this amazing experience we had was inspired by the app in the same way that Lindsey Sterling playing the violin was as far from Zelda as you get, but it would never happen without Zelda. So if you don't know the answer to this yet, because there is an answer, if you want to create awesome stuff, if you want to create great technology and have good relationships, the answer to the question of are you an acorn or a squirrel should be both. See, because that's what life is. It's like an hourglass. You know, we have learning experiences, and we take those learning experiences and we create art from them and we teach from them. Now, we all know people that are a little too squirrely, people that are too big of adventurers. That's your friend who's always telling you about his trip to Thailand. And we all know acorn people. They're people that are always butting in your business and don't really know what they're talking about. No, a true complete life is to be a squirrel and an acorn. Now, the reason we respect Hemingway and Orwell so much is because they actually did fight in the war. You know, James Cameron really was an engineer, and Dostoevsky really did spend time in Russian prison. That's what a complete good life is. And now, I know there's probably people in here. I'm not sure why that was funny, but I know there's probably people in here that are a little squirrely, and I know there's people in here that are a little acorn. There's people that are right in that center, and it will be a lifelong challenge to be both a squirrel and acorn. But Keadle would like to help everyone in here tonight figure out if they're a squirrel or an acorn in both. And what we did is we actually made a Keadle Adventure Pass for every single person in this room. And Lindsay and Christy, if you want to pull out those bags and just like pass them out. And then we do have a rule. You're not allowed to open them. You're not allowed to open them until you actually declare that I'm going to spend the next hour to do my Keadle Adventure Pass, because if you don't do that, you'll open it and like just throw it on your desk and never do it. So we hope we can help you a little bit to figure out if you are a squirrel and an acorn. And in the end, I just want to say the reason we believe in this, the reason Keadle believes in trying to enhance real-world experiences is simple. It's because the real world is fucking awesome. Thank you.